Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Iftikhar. This is my YouTube channel. If you've been following my channel, you would know that we're talking about immigration here. The purpose of this channel is to simplify the immigration purpose for a layman, for a normal person who does not know the nitty-gritty of the immigration process. So we want to simplify the process so that you would understand this process, and the purpose of this channel is to educate everybody to start researching for themselves. When you start researching, you would come to know that things are unfolding themselves, and you would know that the immigration process that is supposed to be a rocket science is not actually a science. It's just a matter of research. And if you've been following my videos, then now you know what is ECA, what is WES, what is CES, how to apply through CES. So if you have not watched those videos already, then please check the playlist and watch those videos so that you understand the process from the beginning. And now we're completing this ECA saga in today's video. We will be finalizing what we have covered in this video. Stay tuned. So when you start thinking about moving to another country, the first immigration process is sending your documents to that country. At the same time, when you are undergoing this procedure, you're also preparing for the language of that country. If you're going to an English-speaking country, that language test would be IELTS. So at the same time, you would be preparing for IELTS, and in the parallel timeline, you would also be sending your documents to that host country. So this is ECA, Educational Credential Assessment. Now, evaluating your documents according to that country's standard is basically assessed by many bodies assigned by that country. So in previous videos, we talked about two agencies in particular, two most famous agencies in particular, right? One was WES, World Education Service. The benefit of going with WES was that it has the shortest processing time of 35 days, which is shortest by all of the other ECA bodies. And the second benefit of WES was that it only charges you single fee for evaluating all your degrees. Then we talked about CES. CES is Comparative Education Service. CES is a service by University of Toronto. University of Toronto is a very prestigious university. When they validate your documents, then it's worth a lot. And the major benefit of CES was that it gives you master's equivalency with quite leniency. For example, if you have 2 years MBA or MBA of 3 years, then you should go with CES, because as many people have already experienced with CES that they evaluate a South Asian MBA as a master's equivalent. Later on, we covered the complete step-by-step procedure of comparative education service. If you have completed all the preliminary steps, or rather micro steps of the ECA process, then now is the time when you send your International Academic Courier for immigration purpose. And this video will tell you how to go about it. When you have all the documents in your hand, all the attested documents in a sealed envelope, all the necessary identification documents, you have created the profile, you have paid the fees, you have the payment receipt in your hand. Now you want to send that as a courier to the ECA body that you have chosen. For sending that international courier, I'm going to give you step-by-step procedure, and it will also include my suggestions and my tips so that you don't need to worry about anything, and your international academic courier goes over to that host country smoothly. So the first tip that I am going to talk about, I've actually written it down here, so I would keep on looking at my computer screen and then going back to the camera. So now let's go over to the slide for tip number 1. Tip number 1 is basically the ground rule for sending international courier, that you should choose a courier agency that gives you online tracking options. When you go over to their website, you put in that online tracking number, you would come to know where your shipment actually is. Now the next tip is using a student package. Because you're sending your international academic couriers, I repeat, academic courier. So you are a student already. For example, if you're using World Education Service or Comparative Education Service, they allot you a student ID or a student number. So when you go to that courier office, you tell them that I have this student number, and then they will give you student package. This will actually give you a discount when you're sending your courier. Now let's move on to tip number 3. When you're sending your international academic courier, then you should always go to the main branch of that courier company in your city, because the staff working in that main branch, they always know about the procedures. It is a routine work for them, and if you choose a smaller office, then the guy sitting in that office would not really know about the complete procedure, and he would miss out some details that you don't want to miss out on. So it's better if you choose the main branch of that courier service in your city. Moving on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is always use a written application. Whenever you're sending your documents for any purpose, obviously you have a small bit of purpose, if not a big purpose. So write that purpose down on that letter so that the recipient of your documents would know exactly what you mean. And that takes us to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is sending your identification documents along. I know that you have uploaded your identification documents in the portal of that website, but when you're sending the physical documents of your academic history, why not attach an identification document so they could verify in first instance that it is actually you. So that leaves us with tip number 6. Tip number 6 is that whenever you are sending your documents, always make a photocopy set of those documents and keep them in your record. Maybe write a name on it. It is standard official procedures, you know. Always keep a photocopy of what you send to the other person, so that in the later stages, if there is a problem, you would have a complete proof that you have sent these documents in this state, and that will clear any problem that rises up. Tip number 7. Just like keeping the photocopy set of those documents, always save the receipt of that courier company with yourself, because sometimes when you will receive the courier back from Comparative Education Service or World Education Service, maybe they would ask you for a proof that you were the one who sent those documents. So always keep the courier receipt in your folder so that you don't lose it, and you can use it anytime required. Tip number 8 is always keep on tracking that shipment, because in this COVID-19 situation, you never know where your documents are held. So you better track it so that if it is stuck at some place, then you can ask the courier company for explanation and they would give you some answers, and you will be able to get it delivered eventually. So that leaves us with our last tip, tip number 9. The last tip is use your own envelope. When I say own envelope, I do not mean that send an empty extra envelope like you send to HEC for the degree attestation process. I'm just simply stating here that if you have your documents, instead of folding them directly into the courier flyer, use your own envelope and then fold that envelope in that courier flyer so that it is not torn out and it reaches the destination safely. So these were all the tips on how to send international academic courier for immigration purpose. I hope you liked the video, and this video has concluded the first step of ECA. So if you have any questions regarding ECA, so kindly comment below and I will be surely answering your questions. Thank you very much and stay tuned because we will be going to start our second step in the immigration process. The second step of immigration process is IELTS. So I would tell you all about it. So stay tuned, please. Thank you very much.